Do you ever feel like you almost understand something? You're trying to explain it using words like, or it's a thingamajiggy. It's a bit vague and really a bit imprecise. That frustrating feeling points to something fundamental about the way that your brain learns and stores information. Through using practical insights from cognitive science and even creative thinking, we can see approaches that are going to help develop that precision. According to dual coding theory, pioneered by Paivio, your brain has two essential pathways in which it can encode information. There's the verbal code, that's language, words, sentences, and even abstract concepts expressed in linguistic form. And then there is the imaginal code. This is for all of the mental images, the feelings, the smells, the sounds, and other non-language sensory experiences. When you learn something concrete like the word guitar, your brain easily stores it in both systems, the verbal label, guitar, and the image of the six-string musical instrument. This dual coding creates powerful, easy to retrieve memories. Further to this, you create mental representations of how a guitar sounds in songs that feature the guitar, deepening your understanding of this particular instrument. Another example of this would be cinnamon, where the mental representations can be made up through the image, the sense, and the taste. Using both of these aspects, we're able to use both the verbal code and the imaginal code, with each being able to trigger the other. But what about more abstract concepts? Words such as certainty, creativity, or justice that don't have a single image that ties to them. We tend to rely more heavily on the verbal system to connect to other words. And this is where things get fuzzy. When we encounter an idea or a concept that we can't quite tie to a description or to an image or to an experience, then we're going to find that we don't have a very good mental representation of this. And that's where the idea stays vague. And this is where creative thinking expert Edward De Bono comes in. He had a fantastic word to describe these imprecise, vague, fuzzy terms: porridge words. We use these porridge words when we want to nail down a concept that we don't quite understand. De Bono saw that there was some merit in using this, particularly when we're starting to explore a concept and we don't quite have all of the language or the images to fill it in. But from a learning perspective, relying on porridge words is a red flag. It's a linguistic symptom that an idea has not been well processed by your brain's dual coding system. When you're stuck using porridge words, it means your verbal code for that concept is weak. The definition isn't sharp and the language is imprecise. Your imaginal code isn't strongly linked. You can't easily picture it, find a concrete example, or ground it in a sensory experience. The idea is poorly represented, much like a blurry image with a mumbled label. It feels like you might know it, however, you can't properly apply it or explain it in a way that is going to be useful. So how do you turn porridge words from those vague ideas into clear retrievable knowledge? By engaging both sides of your mental coding system. Define the concept in your own words. Try to explain it precisely without using filler words. Write about it. Teach it to someone else. They'll quickly expose your porridge words. Can you draw a diagram? Find a powerful analogy or a metaphor? Can you connect it to a concrete example or a past sensory experience? Actively trying to create a mental image or a sensory anchor for the idea, especially for abstract concepts. For example, when we consider a concept such as working memory, an image of a brain might appear. However, this isn't specifically useful for being able to explain how this works. In Uncommon Sense Teaching, the authors use the metaphor of a four-legged octopus to represent working memory, or as I like to call it, the quadrupus. This idea is useful because the understanding that our working memory typically holds 4 pieces of information at any one time allows us to better consolidate our understanding of this concept, matching up a key concept with an image that supports it. The more that you strengthen your language around a concept and link it to concrete images, examples, or sensory experiences, the clearer that mental representation becomes. You move from porridge words to more precise understanding. So the next time you find yourself using a porridge word, see it as an opportunity. It's your brain signaling that, hey, this idea is still fuzzy. Recognizing the vagueness is the first step. Actively sharpening your language and your mental imagery is how you truly master what you learn.